Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in today. The defense closes, and the case should be to the jury before the end of the day, if you will. They're bringing the jury in. Let's get into some of this straight game, ladies and gentlemen.
Life is like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we heard from the prosecution side of the story involving the Sean P. Diddy Combs case. Today we shall hear from the defense and closing arguments. Give me just a minute, and we're going to get right into it.
They said Tupac was untouchable, but behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. With Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. Let's get into it. So as you see, Garagos, the public can't see it, so it should be fine. The judge basically said, that's fine. Let's bring in the jury. After a time, the courtroom deputy to the jury, with transit issues, we are inquiring, Judge, okay, we'll wait. So the jury has transit issues. They're trying to get to the court, if you will, so that the defense can proceed with its side of the case, if you will. So let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Ignophilo, the trial from the evidence. What is it? It's personal use drugs. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you guys that yesterday. It's personal use drugs. That's all it is. And that and swingers a lifestyle, but the prosecutors have charged one of the most serious statutes in the books. They called threesomes and drugs as RICO. Ignophilo, I want to thank you for your service to our country. I would love to speak to you for days, but it's Friday. I am trying to be efficient. I have to cover a lot of ground, but I'll focus on the most important part. Sean Combs. It's a brilliant start, if you will. Ignafalo. Sean Combs is a self-made black entrepreneur. He has built real businesses that are so outstanding that others create partnerships with them. We heard that from Derek Ferguson. It is hard to be Sean Combs. How many witnesses said they were moved? Shout out to the Chat Cut Creatives, JP6 Gunner, Born King, Poe the Great. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Ignafalo on the Ignafalo is delivering the closing arguments, ladies and gentlemen. Ignafalo. The assistants were moved by Sean Combs. It was like Harvard Business School. He pushed me hard. Did they always like him? No way. Let's not even go there. Did they like him? No, but they loved him. Even the ones who are suing him. Facts. Just found out that Tony Busby is filing a new lawsuit. I don't really give any his lawsuit after that situation with Jay-Z and Diddy any kind of credibility, ladies and gentlemen. Some guy saying something, if anybody's saying something about Diddy involving a guy saying Diddy did something to him, I don't even believe that no more. We know what he likes. You know what I mean? It's been shown to the world. So that part right there, I just can't see it. Once again, people can make accusations and say anything now. We get it. Combs Ignafalo. Mia, I'm not going to call her Mia because that's not her name. I'm going to call her the witness who testified as Mia. Remember, Derek Ferguson from the Bronx, he said there were not many hiring people like him from the Bronx. Facts. Derek Ferguson was the accountant that was testified basically that there weren't many firms in New York City hiring Puerto Rican individuals and giving opportunities from that perspective like Diddy was. Ignafalo, there's something more to these businesses. Sometimes the real thing in life are hard. The real things in life are hard. No one remembers the easy days. those people grew. It was real. It was diversity. These days, DEI, Combs was doing it at 24. Absolutely. At 24, like I said, most people looking at Diddy's life now. Like I said, they wanted us to forget that, how he started with Andre Harrell as an intern and did everything. I'm not talking about his personal life and what he likes and all of those things. That they seem to have brung that in, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Sean P. Diddy Combs, the businessman, if you will. And you see, they said there's something more to these businesses. Sometimes the real things in life are hard. No one remembers the easy days. These people grew. It was real. It was diversity. These days, DEI, Combs was doing it at 24. Facts. Ignophilo, the prosecutors call his businesses racketeering. That's the fake trial. Basically, he said that's the fake trial. What happened? He gets arrested. They destroy his property. They have a SRT, special response team. They are clandestine. Can't follow with a camera. Rampant. They ran. Absolutely. Once again, when they testified early in the trial, they asked, did they have any recordings of them going through the safe, looking for the guns and things of that nature, right? They did not have those things, ladies and gentlemen. And so, Ignophilo is basically pointing that out. They're basically saying they're clandestine, can't follow with the camera, rampant. They ran, right? A special response team, as if it was, some kind of other thing in the drama. And you've seen that they were tipped off too. If you've seen the at his house at 200 Mapleton in Homely Hills, it's crazy. Ignophilo, his kids were there and here. 6 of 7 in the second row. The 7th is an infant. This is who he is. The man takes care of people. Jane came here and testified against him. Today, she's in a house he's paying for. I told y'all they was going to come up with it, right? And like I said, once again, she came and testified against him. And today, at this very moment, she's living in a house that he's paying for, even though Jane, aka Daphne Joy, has a child with one of the biggest rappers in the game, who is also a multi-millionaire, in 50 Cent. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. Hit the thumbs up button. Let them know we up in here. This is very important. This is more than just about Diddy. This is about when people try to tear you down. Like I said, Diddy's not perfect by a long shot, but the way the government brought this case was crazy. A carbon copy of what you would call Cassie's civil case, created into a criminal indictment under the RICO statute. Ignophilo, and they found and they found it. Boxes of Astroglide taken off the streets. He's clowning. He said, and they found it. Boxes of Astroglide taken off the streets, and they got the baby oil and the personal use drugs. America is safer. 5 Valium pills. When you're doing work like that, we can't photograph you. That's the evidence. Absolutely. 5 Valium. I told y'all, ladies and gentlemen, personal use. They made it yesterday. They made it seem like they were running some kind of drug ring and buying drugs and setting up shop on the East and the West Coast. You see it right here, Ignophilo. And they found it. Boxes of Astroglide. Right? And the baby oil. Made that a big thing. He had 2,000 bottles of baby oil. Then you had people lying who didn't know anything about what they were talking about the baby oil was laced and blah, blah, blah. They didn't know what they were talking about, ladies and gentlemen. They wanted to sound interesting, and they're not. And they lied to try to get people to come watch their channel and click on what was going on, ladies and gentlemen. They said Ignophilo is basically clowning, basically saying America is safer now. 5 Valium pills? When you're doing work like that, we can't photograph you? That's the evidence? Absolutely. They made it a big to-do. Had the man kids sitting outside, helicopters in the air, filming all of that. What, Ignophilo, what do? They wrap yellow crime scene tape figuratively around his bedroom, around the hotel rooms. He goes to with his girlfriends. That's a lot of crime scene tape. The crime scene is your private sex life. Yours. So most people who are not really understanding what this is, very important. Ignophilo. No one called 911. They called civil plaintiff lawyers trying to sue. This case is about money. Cassie Ventura sued Sean Combs for $30 million because he has $30 million. If he doesn't have it, no civil lawsuit and no criminal case. And you can best believe every last dollar. Why? She wouldn't even have been with him. She wouldn't even have been with him. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel if you have not. It's about money. It's always been about money. He wouldn't have been able to take care of none of them. They wouldn't have been with him. Point blank, period. Trying to get it back, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This case is about 5 minutes. It's about love. Love, as has been said more than 800 times, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, y'all. Said this case is about 5 minutes. It's about love. Love has been said more than 800 times in this trial. The domestic violence, we own it. We did not ask Miss Ventura about being hit, kicked, or dragged. They own the domestic violence. Very great admission. Combs and Knopfler, and we did not cross Jane about it either. But domestic violence is not charged. If he was charged with that, he would have pled guilty. He did that. But he did not do racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. He did not kidnap or bribe anyone. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Ignafulo, the first person to say this was about domestic violence was Cassie Ventura. She made an Instagram. Remember I told y'all it was going to go for that Instagram post, right? She made an Instagram post. She said, "Thank you for your love and support. The domestic violence is the issue." She could have said anything on her phone or tablet, but she chose to say those words. Ladies and gentlemen, getting to the crux of what this is about. Like I said, once again, the prosecution has been trying to call a pig in lipstick some kind of pageant winner, or a supermodel, if you will. No, it's simply a pig in lipstick. Ignafulo, she could have said this was about sex trafficking. And she didn't say that. She said it was about domestic violence. Believe her. Believe Cassie when she says domestic violence is the issue. In that moment, watching that video, imagine that. Once again, we talked about how the prosecution basically came up with its own narrative about what this was about. Even in the closing arguments, as you could see some of the untruths that they were pushing, if you will, right? We see it here right now. This is what Cassie said, not what they wanted to characterize it as. Ignafulo, to see their relationship, right? To see their relationship is to see everything that racketeering is not. I am not going to go through a lot of text messages or charts or screen time. It's a terrible thing. Screen time, I'm told. I'm going to tell you the story of this case. powerful. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. Share it on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of the channels, ladies and gentlemen. This is very important. This is very important for people to understand. Ignophilo. They fell in love. Cassie had a boyfriend of 3 years, 10 years older than her. But she meets Sean Combs and they are off to the races. Right? Mr. Combs rents a boat and they make love for the first time. They're in an intense relationship. 11 years. Facts. And the prosecution, that's what I was trying to get at yesterday. The prosecution never seemed to want to focus on the fact that there was a relationship here. I was wondering, I was like, oh wow, what is this? What are they trying to, basically say, if you will, right? Like, so 11 years and it was nothing. It basically breaks down to what the prosecution is trying to say. The hell with the red carpets, the Vanity Fairs, all of the other pictures and things that we've seen online. That was about what they wanted it to be. Ignophilo. Cassie is smart. She flat won. She got $30 million. And he's in jail. You probably know that. The nice looking men behind him, they are U.S. Marshals. They keep him safe. Cassie has won 100 to nothing. They tell you she's a victim. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. We up in here today. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up button. Let them know we are here over here on Straight Game TV. We got over 300 people in the room. Let that show. And like I said, once again, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Appreciate the love and the support. To the people who've donated since the trial has begun, appreciate you too. We don't really ask for nothing over here. All we want is your time and your feedback. Appreciate you. Ignophilo. This is a great modern love story. They didn't write these in the past because they didn't have these problems. Right? He had 6 kids at the time. It's a relationship based on love. Cassie said she was young and insanely jealous. Yaya kids in the building. DJ Crazy K, Leticia, Mark, Jag, QP, Ann and Lee, Feli, Poe the Great, Cut Creatives. If you're in the jury room and you don't want to go home, read their text messages at the time of the breakup. You will cry. They were selfless with each other when it wasn't going to work for the original sin of their relationship. That Gina, ladies and gentlemen, they brung Gina up. Basically, once again, if you're in the jury room and you don't want to go home, read their text messages. Basically, he's saying that, you can do all of that in the jury room. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do all of that. At the time of the breakup, you will cry. They were selfless with each other when it wasn't going to work for the original sin of their relationship. Agnafalo, Gina wouldn't come here, but she's out there. Y'all heard that, ladies and gentlemen? Gina wouldn't come here, but she's out there. Then Kim Porter passed away, and Mr. Combs said what he did for Cassie. For Cassie, it was the last straw, and she made an adult choice and left, like she always could leave. What happened? Nothing. Big point, ladies and gentlemen. What happened? Cassie left, right? And nothing happened. They said, well, he was kidnapping her. He was doing this and doing that. He wished her the best. We're not going to hear about that, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't hear about that from the prosecution. Agnafalo, pick a message from 2018 and read it. These two people loved each other. If racketeering conspiracy had an opposite, it would be their relationship. They were their best selves when it came to sex. There were times that Sean was proud. Agnafalo, on sex. They found each other. It's a beautiful thing. You won't find a single text where she says, I didn't like that sex. It was an 11-year relationship, and you won't find one text about her saying that I didn't like that sex. The issues were jealousy and other women, but they match up when it comes to sex. Swingers. Remember, in the beginning, like I told you, that was one of the things that Agnafalo basically said that he was going to go for in representation of the lifestyle. Remember, when Jane went to Vegas with Kanye and his girlfriend / wife, she mentioned to Kanye about the guy that who was with Diddy and Cassie, and Jane said in her testimony that they were into the lifestyle. Remember that. For the people who are just coming in, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, click the like button, share the feed. Click the share button on YouTube. Share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and any other social media apparatus that you may be on. We up in here today, ladies and gentlemen. Combs Ignophilo. She is a woman who loves sex, and it's beautiful. She is unafraid. Let's talk about Kid Cudi. He came in here. I'm not meaning to be judgy. Cudi comes here and says, Cassie played me. She did. She played them both. Not everyone can do that. Facts, ladies and gentlemen. Facts. Remember, she had a burner phone and all of that other stuff. Who was that? The young lady that helped her get the burner phone. And that's why Diddy was mad, right? Once again, the prosecution didn't focus on that. That wasn't mentioned in their a final argument, if you will, or in their closing argument. Read that again, ladies and gentlemen. She was a woman who loves sex, and it's beautiful. She is unafraid. Let's talk about Kid Cudi. He came in here. I'm not meaning to be judgy. Cudi comes here and says, Cassie played me. She did. She played them both. Not everyone can do that. Facts, ladies and gentlemen. Cassie probably home smiling about that right now, and she's listening to this testimony. Ignophilo, she goes for it. She liked Sean Combs as she had a relationship with another singer-songwriter under his nose. Right? Facts, ladies and gentlemen. She's not afraid of him. Was she going to tell either? No. Cassie is keeping it gangster. Ooh, he didn't go there. He didn't go there in the courtroom. Cassie is keeping it gangster. She's like, I'm going to lie to them both. Hello. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. Ignophilo going in. Ignophilo said Cassie is keeping it gangster. She's like, I'm going to lie to them both. Ooh wee. Y'all see it. She goes for it. She's like to Sean Combs as she had a relationship with another songwriter under his nose. I think it's saying she's like Sean Combs, like, because Diddy was seeing, I think Gina, and so basically Ignophilo was saying, like, yeah, she's like Sean Combs. She basically had a relationship right under his nose with another singer-songwriter, and she's not afraid of him. She was, you know, was she going to tell him either? No. Cassie is keeping it gangster. She's like, I'm going to lie to them both. You see it. Ignophilo. Cassie gets a burner phone. Finally. That's what you expect in a racketeering case, ladies and gentlemen, is it not? Do dope dealers not have that burner phone that they think that the feds are not on? Right? Or the burner phone they might use once or twice and then throw it away and then get another burner phone? Listen, Cassie gets a burner phone. Finally, that's what you expect in a racketeering case. She's the one who got the burner phone. The morning of December 22nd, 2021, the whole thing with with Cuddy and all that, she had 2 hotel rooms. Whoa. A room for the burner. Fatima in the building, welcome. JP6 Gunner, Fila, E-Rock, Anthony G, Nick, Ann Lee. Welcome, QP. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the thumbs up button. We got over 400 people in the room. Agnafalo, she was not going to tell nobody nothing. She wasn't going to tell nobody nothing. Let's talk racketeering. The judge is going to give you a legal a charge later today, assuming the first one is the 2004 kidnapping of Capricorn Clark. Let's talk about her. She said, I wanted my life back. Feli speaks. I appreciate your work, DELRAY. Blackjack, Free Puff. Thank you for the donation, Feli. I appreciate you, man. Absolutely. Thank y'all for staying down and dirty, man, and coming through every day. We'll try to keep great content coming your way, Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Capricorn Clark says she wanted her life back. Agnafalo, Capricorn Clark's parents passed away when she was young. I don't mean any disrespect. She told you. I'm happy she did. Others didn't tell you about their parents. She moves to the Bronx and meets Sean Combs. She goes super platonic. What? Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. There's something that we don't know about Capricorn Clark. Corey Simmons in the building. Sandra Love, Yaya Kids. Fatima's in the house. Is that single or Sandra Love? One Love is in the building. Kiefer in the building. Welcome, everybody. Hit the thumbs up button, please. Combs Agnafalo. I think she means she didn't want it to be platonic. She's out there. You could see it. She says, I had the biggest crush on you. I think we misused our dope chemistry. So, like I said, I didn't know that Capricorn Clark and Diddy had a relationship. Did that come up? I think I missed that part. I thought it was just a working relationship. Wow. Said it was super platonic, if you will. Ignafalo, if she's kidnapped, why does she want to go back and work for him? Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the question all along with a lot of this. People claiming to be kidnapped and mistreated and all of this. I mean, why do they want to go back and work for Diddy? Listen, she's getting her nails down with Mike B. Right? I think she's getting her nails done with Mike B. He's going to be mad at me. Listen, she says she called 1440 and said, lock everyone in. She got the lie detector test, and Mike B did too. Right? So I guess it was a guy by the name of Mike B who was also given a lie detector test. I don't think we heard from him, but we heard from Capricorn once again, because she's claiming that she was kidnapped, ladies and gentlemen. So where's Mike B? Why didn't they bring him in? Yeah, that's crazy. The question, if she's kidnapped, why does she want to go back and work for him? She's getting her nails done with Mike B. Basically said he's going to be mad at me. She says she called 1440 and said lock everyone in. She got the lie detector test, and Mike B did too. And from what we understand, ladies and gentlemen, there was thousands of dollars in jewelry missing. Right? I mean, you're not going to try to find out who stole your jewelry? Then you a fool. Combs, Ignafalo, how was she kidnapped if she went home every day? That's something that I mentioned yesterday. I was like, she said that she was kidnapped. Then how in the hell, where she sleep at? They kept her in the lie detector building, but they had a mattress and a sheet in another room, and like, you can't leave. Right? Once again, the mischaracterization of the prosecution wanting you to believe something that simply was not true. Question, and this is just for people that are paying attention. How was she kidnapped if she went home every day? Is the government alleging 5 separate kidnappings? No. You see what I'm saying? So they slipped up, right? Paulie drove her home. Door-to-door kidnapping. Beautiful. Huh? Not door-to-door kidnapping. He didn't go there. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. He said door-to-door kidnapping. Right? The SDNY is charging this as kidnapping. Ignafalo laughs. It's not a kidnapping. Crazy. But we're seeing what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I say this is so important. Like I said, the government has done this before against people, and they didn't have as much money as Diddy, to have 10 lawyers. You got people sitting in jail right now because they had bad legal representation. And then you also have some people in jail for doing exactly what the government said they did. You know what I mean? And that's a fact. But this case right here, as you can see, I asked the question yesterday. I was like, well, when she went, if they gave her the lie detector test, 5 days in a row or 5 different days, I'm like, well, where did she sleep at? I mean, did she go home? Yeah, she went home. But the government didn't explain it like that. Ignafalo, you guys come here after long days, and you come back the next. Have you been kidnapped? Absolutely, positively not. No. At the time, Sean Combs is in Raisin in the Sun. He's running a Vote or Die campaign. He couldn't care less about this. The lie detector test was former FBI, ladies and gentlemen. See, once again, the prosecution didn't mention that either, that the lie detector test was conducted by a former FBI. Amazing. Oh, he is. He's subtly, Nick, NIC, he's definitely letting it be known, right? But sometimes you have to do it subtly, you know? You don't want to come off as being crass or anything like that. Ignafalo, you guys have a right to say, that sounds like a stretch. Why charge it as kidnapping? Come to whatever answer you think is the right answer. Capricorn leaves for a year. She makes more money. Then she comes back. Amazing. Amazing, ladies and gentlemen. We like I said, we're seeing it right here. We're seeing it right here, ladies and gentlemen. Born King in the building. JP Gunslinger. John LK. Mo Better. Ivan Curry. King. Love Lady. Anonymous 3. Brandon Carter. Welcome, everybody. Like I say, hit the thumbs up button. We got over 450 people in the room. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. Even the people outside of the chat. Like I said, we have a lot of people outside of the chat also watching. And we appreciate you guys too. Very much appreciated. Ignafalo, next. Sean and Cassie are having a freak off. It's December 22nd, 2011. Cassie has 2 hotel rooms. Combs looked at her non-burner phones. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. Combs looked at her non-burner phones, sees messages with Kid Cudi. Sees messages with CC about Cudi. Maybe Cole or Scott in the text. Something about hiking. Ladies and gentlemen. Say that money, boy, that money will make people say crazy things, man. Crazy things. Combs Ignophilo, why would he have a gun? He goes to get Capricorn. Why? Why? She would do anything with him. Go to the moon. He didn't need a gun. He didn't have a gun. Cuddy said Cassie told Cuddy that Cassie already told Combs. And I think what he's saying is Cassie told Kid Cudi that she already told Diddy about their relationship. You get it? That's what the guy meant to write. So Cassie said that she told Combs, right, about their relationship. Ignophilo says, are you following me? So Kid Cudi said that Cassie told him that she already told Combs about their relationship, ladies and gentlemen. Are you following me? Ignophilo says. We following you, Ignophilo. We're following you. Ignophilo, Sean Combs has nothing to gain by having a gun and everything to lose. He is already Sean Combs. Capricorn would love to have stayed employed if he pulled a gun on her. Basically asking, so Capricorn Clark would have loved to have stayed employed with Diddy if he pulled the gun on her? No way. Basically stating that, hold on, now he pulled the gun on me, you leave, and now you want to come back and work for this guy after he pulled the pistol on you? No way. It didn't happen. No gun. No gun. We're not talking about what people are saying. We're talking about their actions. Like I said, she wanted to come back and work for Diddy. You know, after he told her to get the fuck out his house. And then she said that was, going way too far. I mean, what she has a right to do. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Like I said, once again, when people want to tell one story, but their actions say something different, that's why a lot of times people say, believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. That old terminology. Ignophilo, Cudi didn't say that Capricorn said Combs had a gun. Y'all hear that? Cudi didn't say that Capricorn said that Combs had a gun because there was no gun. Working backward, Cuddy didn't tell the police about a gun. It was written up as a trespass. That's all. There's no gun. Capricorn Clark's story simply falls apart. R. Hill is in the building. Ivan Curry. Fatima Barrett always. Yeah, and like I said, once again, what Ignafalo is saying that, she's saying that Diddy pulled a gun on her, but then she left and then she wanted to come back and work for the guy again. I mean, that's insane. I mean, you pull a gun on me, I'm sure a lot of people in the chat feel the same way. Man, I don't want nothing to do with him. Some people will respond in kind, So Capricorn Clark's story falls apart, ladies and gentlemen. It simply falls apart. QP, Born King. Feli speaks too. Kane in the building. Ignafalo, there was the car chase, or was there? Cuddy pulled up next to the Escalade, the witness said. There was no car chase. The judge is going to say you can disregard any witness if you find something not credible. If you see fit, it's all you need. And a lot of them were not credible. Once again, I like how Ignafalo is actually sliding in some of the judge's instructions to the jury that they're going to hear to basically help them. I would expedite their decision, if you will. Basically, like saying that there was the car chase, or was there? Cuddy pulled up next to the Escalade, the witness said. Right? There was no car chase. The judge is going to say you can disregard any witness if you find something is not credible. If you see fit, it's all you need. Indigo Key Wisdom in the building. The most hated is in the building. Yeah, absolutely. You gotta pull the curtain back, man. You can see a lot of what's going on and a lot of what has been said in this situation. The picture that has been painted, the narrative that has been created, if you will, around this situation. Yeah, cut creators, you're right. Pull the curtains back. Ann and Lee, welcome back. Ignafalo, seems like everything is possible with Capricorn Clark. I asked her, she said, I came up here with Puff. I want to run away. I'm afraid of mountain lions. She said, I'm afraid of mountain lions. Ignafalo said, mountain lions? I'm not saying that they are not scary. But if you were kidnapped with a gun, no. You ain't even think about no mountain lions. Right? It's crazy, right? You know, like he said, it seems like everything is possible with Capricorn Clark. I asked her, she said, I came up here with Puff. I want to run away. I want to run away, but I'm afraid of mountain lions. You're like, mountain lions? He said, I'm not saying that they're not scary, but if you were kidnapped with a gun, that would be a little bit more scarier. But Ignafalo saying no. Crazy, right? Anise Baynard, welcome to the chat. Olu Flush. Yeah, it's a bunch of false narratives. Yaya kids. Like I said, they're saying basically anything, you know. Like I said, it's funny how people can create a story around something. Combs Ignafalo, she doesn't want to say I went there by my own volition. I'm not saying Sean Combs didn't go there. He wanted to fight him. Fine. Fine, motherfucker. Combs is not a coward. He's ready to fight. At the risk of being sexist, they are men. They fight. He said, motherfucker. Wow. Andrea Dreams, welcome back. Appreciate the support. That's what I told him. We got over 400 people in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Get the likes up. Share it on your Instagram, your Facebook. Like I said, your Twitter, now X, if you will, right? Ignafalo, we're going to have a good old-fashioned 8 a.m. Hollywood Hills John Wayne fight. The Porsche, not his style. There's no evidence, right? He said the Porsche, not his style. There's no evidence. Who else would do it? Who else would do? Oh, yeah. So basically, right, ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution basically said in regards to the Porsche in that situation, asking, well, who else would do it, right? So Ignafalos basically said, we're going to have a good old-fashioned 8 in the morning Hollywood John Wayne fight. The Porsche, not his style. There's no evidence, period, point blank. Who else would do it is what the prosecution said is not evidence. Who else would do it is not evidence, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, once again, that's why this is so important that we watching this and understanding what it's about, right? Burning a car is cowardice. Be a man and fight him, right? Quan in the building. I appreciate you, Hill. Kim Johnson in the house. Feli speaks again. Ignafalo. What's in the car? A Molotov cocktail. Why not show you the glove? I am suggesting something. Am I suggesting something? Yes. That the investigation stunk. It's terrible. 2 fingerprints? What happened? Well, I don't know. You are going to determine his fate on arson? On this? Absolutely. Great argument, right? Nafalo saying, what's in the car? A Molotov cocktail. Why not show you the glove? Am I suggesting something? Yes. That the investigation stunk. It's terrible. 2 fingerprints? What happened? Well, I don't know. You are going to determine his fate on arson? On this? Kim Johnson, appreciate the donation. Thank you so much. Thank you for sticking around. And if you have not joined the channel, please subscribe. Very much appreciated. Ignafalo, the DNA was consistent with a female contributor. That witness was not helpful. If it had come back consistent with Combs, they would have bragged about it. Investigator Jimenez never followed up. He tried to find Cassie. Once again, remember I told you, if they got something, oh man, they brag about it. Just like with the Breonna Bongdalen situation, when they thought that September 26th date would stick. And then when Westmoreland came back and contradicted that, pointing out that Diddy wasn't even in California at that time, it was like, oh, well, she got the date wrong. No, this is metadata information that you're submitting as evidence saying that it happened on this date. It's not only until the defense cross-examines and finds out, well, or the jury finds out and the court finds out that, guess what? He wasn't even in California on that date. What is she talking about? And if best believe, if they had it, it would have stuck. Oh man, they would have had their way with it. No questions asked, right? We got him. Dead to rights. His fingerprints match. Blase blah. He said he tried to find Cassie. Ignafalo. Jimenez said Capricorn's brother obstructed him. They fought. I'm not saying Capricorn did it or Cassie did it. We're not there to solve the world's problem. We basically said we're not here to solve the world's problems. Cassie's father didn't call him back. The witness was mad. Draw your own conclusions. Facts. That wipes that out. Yeah, that wipes that out. Ignafalo doing a brilliant job so far. You got to hit each piece one by one. You know what I mean? Each piece one by one. Or each accusation, if you will. And like I said, very important. When the prosecution said yesterday about the Kid Cudi thing in the car, you know, the Molotov cocktail and all of that, they were like, who else done it? Right? And notice how Ignafalo says he's questioning their theory and saying, who else done it? He said, who else done it is not evidence. So many times, we as people, right, we take people's word that they're going to do something or something in regards to somebody else. And it's, well, who else you think done it? You know what I mean? And we use sometimes our little minds and point in that direction. But it's like 9 times out of 10, you got no evidence that the person did it or not. You know what I mean? I mean, you can go by what you think, and you can also be wrong, and you can also be right. But in court, who else did it is not evidence. You know what I mean? You got to have evidence to be able to convict and prove somebody has committed a crime. So, very important. You know, what you believe doesn't make it true just because you believe it. You know? Yeah, you see right here, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to show y'all this. Breaking: Diddy has been hit with a new lawsuit mid-trial. Brandon Adams has alleged that Diddy sodomized him at a 2021 party after saying, "You're about to get the Diddy love." His attorney, Tony Busby, calls it a part of a pattern. Diddy denies all allegations. Man, come on, man. This is shit's ridiculous, man. It's kind of getting ridiculous, man. He said you gonna get this Diddy love, and now he want $10 million. Wow. Combs Ignafalo. Here's an email. Why is she calling him a Sean Puffy Combs? For some later proof, She doesn't mention any car. Forget it. Let's turn to the London hotel. If you want to go to someone's house, it's not a kidnapping. It's unfair. Cassie is public too. You see it right here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's an email. Why is she calling him Sean Puffy Combs? For some later proof, right? Think about it. Here's an email, ladies and gentlemen. Why is she calling him Sean Puffy Combs? For some later proof? She doesn't mention any car. Forget it. There's no car mentioned about, and what he's basically saying is, at the time, Cassie, I believe, sent Diddy an email, and I guess in the email she was calling him Sean Puffy Combs. And Agnaflo is asking, why is she calling him Sean Puffy Combs? For some later proof, right? She doesn't mention any car, meaning car, Kid Cudi's car being blown up or anything, right? So basically said, forget it. Let's turn to the London hotel. If you want to go to someone's house, it's not a kidnapping. It's unfair. Cassie is public too. Yeah, you can't cut creators. You can't word for word. Most people don't understand. Like, he's typing this as it goes along. So really takes a certain amount of skill to try to convey the message. And not only that, the Twitter only gives you a certain amount of characters that you can use. So shout out to Inner City Press for doing a great job. Absolutely. We have two sources. Our other sources, Patience is Key. Jewel Mancy, right? And so, sometimes Jewel Mancy, she picks up on it too and gives something, like right here. Here we go. Look, 7 minutes ago, right? You can see right here, Jewel Mancy, it has a different perspective, right? Sometimes a little bit more detailed than, so we got it. Like I said, if you want the coverage, man, we got it over here. Straight game. We trying to bring it to you just, from either source, right? Agnafalo. Then there's the second so-called kidnapping. Listen, because this is a little bit more detailed than what Inner City Press just gave. Agnafalo. Then there's there's the second so-called kidnapping from 2011. And again, same pattern. No locked doors, no handcuffs, no ransom notes. Just another exaggerated tale and a case full of them, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a little bit more detail. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. And you're allowed to ask, why did they charge this as kidnapping? Ooh, very powerful. Making those suggestions. To the jury. Agnafalo. Why these particular stories? Why stretch reality to fit a narrative? You're not just allowed to ask those questions, you're supposed to. Because if this is the best they've got, well, maybe it's not Sean Combs on trial after all. Maybe it's the truth. Powerful. Powerful, ladies and gentlemen. So over here on with Jewel Mancy, P. Diddy trial updates, she seems to be covering it damn near word for word. So we're going to switch back and forth, if you will. No, like he said in his first one, there's no a second then there's the second so-called kidnapping, right? No locked doors, no handcuffs, no ransom notes. Just another exaggerated tale in a case full of them. And you're allowed to ask, why did they charge this as kidnapping? Because the case is that weak. You see it. Ignophilo. Let me see. Here you go, Ignophilo. The police were nowhere near this situation. Is Combs acting like a fool, calling Cassie and saying the police about to arrest him? She is freezing him out, as she should. He's just trying to get her attention. He leaves, goes to her apartment. Combs Ignophilo. He's banging on the door, maybe with a hammer, Carrie Morgan said. That's why the police came. A neighbor called. The Intercontinental has no police, period. So he cannot be guilty of bribery under California law, as the judge will tell you. Powerful. Boom, explosion, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear that? I don't think most people understand. They don't understand. Once again, Combs Ignophilo. He's banging on the door, maybe with a hammer. Carrie Morgan said that's why the police came. A neighbor called. The Intercontinental Hotel has no police, period. So he cannot be guilty of bribery under California law, as the judge will tell you. So all of these people out here talking and running their mouth don't know what they're talking about, right? He cannot be guilty under California law. Not about what you think, what you feel, what they're telling you, what narrative they're trying to, or picture they're trying to paint. Do your research. Do your homework. Stop taking somebody's word for it because y'all might be cool, right? You know, go on your own fact-finding mission. Absolutely. He said world star witnesses. Dirk Diggler in the building. Who else? Rick L. Starr. Beauty and Not the Beast in the building. Thank you guys. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. Like I said, we love bringing you this straight game. Y'all see it right here. Under California law, not guilty. Not what they're trying to tell you in New York. Absolutely, Anonymous 3. When you think about, because that's where it took place. Like I was telling most people, that situation involving the Intercontinental Hotel, the statute of limitations had expired on that situation. I don't even know. Like I said, the video. I mean, if you were going for an optics aspect of it and domestic violence, you heard Ignáfalo own up to it in the beginning. He was like, the domestic violence. He said, we own that. He was wrong, right? He said if they would have basically charged him with domestic violence, Diddy would have pleaded guilty. He would have had to. But that's not the charge. So, bit of a pause, ladies and gentlemen, waiting for the next piece of closing argument to come back up. Ian Good, what's good? Welcome back. Appreciate you. John L.K. Charm. Yeah, I mean, the attorneys, they got to get paid, but like I say, more importantly, all of the settlements, I wouldn't say all of the settlements, but Cassie got her money, and then once everybody else seen that Cassie got paid, everybody else wanted to get paid. So, if we're to believe anything, you damn sure to believe that. So. Ignáfalo. And when Mia, the witness who testified as Mia, said she was out of Skrilla. So hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be clear. This is hilarious right here. So Mia, when Mia, the witness who testified as Mia, said she was out of Skrilla. It's not Skrillo. We call it Skrilla, man. I need some more Skrilla, meaning money, right? She was out of Skrilla. They should have told you that. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, this is what the prosecution was trying to hide. Ignáfalo bringing it up, listen. And when Mia, the witness who testified as Mia, said she was out of Skrilla, money, they should have told you that. Sean was concerned about Cassie suing him. He was not aware of any federal investigation, if there was one. So it's not obstruction, ladies and gentlemen. And at that particular time, check it out. Mia could have been working with the feds, trying to set him up for obstruction. From that perspective, even though he reached out, you know what I mean. From that, like I told you, he wasn't aware of any federal investigation, and they did not prove that he was aware of any federal investigation, right? Combs Ignáfalo. He's trying to stave off a lawsuit. And when it comes to Jane, he still might. Judge, shall we break here? Ignáfalo, this would be fine. Ladies and gentlemen,
They said Tupac was untouchable. But behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.
As we see, ladies and gentlemen, they've taken a break. As we see, they've taken a break. And they'll be back soon, probably like 5 or 10 minutes. Usually try to take a bathroom break or whatever. So what do you guys think so far? Everybody in the chat, what do you guys think? Think Agnopoulos doing a good job or not? Lovely lady, thanks for the donation. Appreciate it. Thanks for you guys for sticking around. Like I said, it's like what, 32 days. Appreciate it. JP6 Gunner, Killer Rob, Poe the Great, Yaya Kids, Kiana Carter, Sandra Taylor, Legs, Andre Styles, Hannon Lee, Money Mike, Fatima Barrett, Corey Simmons, R. Hill, Cut Creator said, what? This bullshit is the prosecutors. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like I said, once again, when we when you take the totality of what's going on with the situation, man, it really truly doesn't make any sense. And so, yeah, I can only imagine that it's going to get better. And like I said, once again, remember in the media when they first talked about this situation involving Mia, who we didn't know who they were talking about, but when they talked about the Mia situation, right, they said that Diddy was obstructing. And like I said, you know, coming from the prosecution and hearing it in the media, we don't really know. They had already tainted us with the aspect that with the Intercontinental Hotel tape, right? So they basically tainted us with that already. So it didn't even at that particular point, it didn't even really matter. um, it didn't even really matter if Diddy had did anything or not. The Intercontinental Hotel was made to tarnish his image and get you to think that everything that they were going to tell you was the worst thing, right? So when they told us that there was some kind of witness tampering involving Mia, who they didn't mention at the time because she wasn't going under her real name, we were to believe that. And so we come to find out now through the court and through testimony that it simply wasn't true. That was another reason they used to get Diddy's bail denied, if you will, from that perspective. So, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, Born King Agnafalo is cooking. Doing a very strategic job, I may add. You know what I mean? I think, like I say, it's very important that you got good legal representation. From Jewel Manzi's page, if you can see right here, another perspective. Like I said, I think Jules is doing a hell of a job in representing what's being said in court. Jewel Manzi says, but let's be clear, he wasn't threatening her. He was trying to get her attention. She was ignoring him, and she had every right to do so. So what does he do? He goes to the apartment. He's knocking on the door, maybe with a hammer. We've seen that part, right? Like he said. And yes, a neighbor called the police. Not Cassie, a neighbor. And I think when this was said, he was trying to make the point that, Cassie never called the police. The neighbor called the police, right? And also, you go to the Intercontinental Hotel. For most people who don't understand what the law is and how to apply it from that perspective, the Intercontinental Hotel, it doesn't even have police presence. So this claim of bribery under California law, not because somebody gave somebody money with an NDA, like I told you, under California law, as the judge will explain to you, it simply doesn't hold. You know the sad part about that is that the prosecution knows this because they're lawyers, right? So the prosecution would know that, well, under California law, if we look up the statute, it technically isn't bribery, but we can try to push the issue, on unsuspecting, uneducated and unqualified jurors, if you will, right? This is what's going on, and somebody said earlier in the chat that, why doesn't Agnafalo say, tell the jury that the prosecution is playing with you? I mean, I think he's trying to do that in the most respectful way as possible, if you will. So, Ravens fan 22 in the house. Milton Hudson. Ice in the house. Iceman, no one was kidnapped for 2 minutes. Nobody was kidnapped at all, man. Like I said, most people's understanding of what they think something is, it simply isn't that. Just like Agnafalo pointed out, when Cassie was ready to leave, she left. What did Diddy do? Nothing. He didn't run after, chase after, hold her down, tied to a brick in the bedroom of his mansion, or none of that, right? DJ Crazy K in the building. Kathy Rose in the building. What's happening? Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Ignophilo, plain and simple. In the world Sean Combs lives in, headlines can destroy everything you've built overnight. That's why this was about managing a crisis, not erasing the truth. Right? Ignophilo. Now let's move to the idea of witness tampering. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is, like I said, from Jewel Mancy, P. Diddy trial updates. Jewel Mancy's testimony is a little bit more word for word, if you will. So, like I said, we like to cover both sides, inner city press as well as Jewel Mancy's P. Diddy updates, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, Ignophilo. Now, let's move to this idea of witness tampering, because the government wants you to believe that when Mr. Combs called Jane, his former girlfriend, and asked for her friendship, it was some kind of criminal maneuver. I love how he describes that, like some criminal maneuver. You know what I mean? Like I said, once again, it's what they want you to believe. It's not what happened. Right? And you can see over here on Inner City Press, they're on a break, but we actually on a break, but Jewel Mancy is still posting and getting it right, getting it word for word, if you will. Oh, it can happen to you, Ice Man. Yeah, absolutely. It can happen to the best of anybody. It has happened to lesser people. You just don't know about them because they wasn't Diddy. Right? You know, Ignophilo acknowledged that in the beginning of his testimony. You know what I mean? That if Diddy didn't have money, there wouldn't have been no charges, right? And if Diddy didn't have any money, he wouldn't have been sued, because it wasn't that. So it's funny how some people try to paint a picture of what they think. It has happened. You got people getting out of jail who's done 20 and 30 years for this same situation based on faulty witness testimony. And now that they have DNA evidence, or they kept the DNA evidence, right? Right? They've been let out of jail free after 20 some odd years. It's been done before. All you gotta go to Google right now, Iceman, and type in wrongfully convicted. DNA freeze man. I'm just gonna tell you, wrongfully convicted, DNA freeze man. And you tell me that it hasn't happened before with people with no money. Unfortunately, it comes up later on after they done 40 years, and they done stole 40 years of your life away. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. Ignophilo. So when you hear the call, when you listen to that recording, you'll understand that what you're really hearing. A man trying to stave off a lawsuit, not manipulate a witness, not obstruct justice, just trying to protect himself from another legal attack. Ignophilo. Let's go back to Mia. The witness, and the first part, he was referring to Jane, right? He was referring to Jane. After Jane got wind of Cassie's lawsuit, Diddy was like, hold on, this is when I need your friendship, right? Ignophilo. Then he says, let's go back to Mia, the witness who testified under that name. She told you she was out of Skrilla. That shit is so funny. Cause me is a white girl, you know what I mean? So she said to see her use the word Skrilla, it's kind of funny, right? Cause that's something that, mostly black men use. You know what I mean? We be like, yo, I'm trying to get some Skrilla, right? And it's not called Skrillo, it's called Skrilla, right? Basically, she was out of Skrilla, out of money. That's something the government conveniently didn't highlight, right? That she said that she was out of money. They basically tried to characterize it as some kind of witness tampering, if you will, right? It's funny. The Black Erica King was good. Now we get up to the break part, but we getting, like I said, from Jules Mancy, we getting word for word, ladies and gentlemen. The judge, you said, why charge kidnapping? The judge said, Judge, you said, why charge kidnapping? You invited them to ask that. So this is, I guess, after you invited them to ask that. Ignafalo, I think I'm allowed to be sarcastic. That's what I was doing there. Judge, and the Intercontinental Video, Ignafalo, that's a state level matter, not a federal one. Again, fair comment. See, now listen to that. Look, we didn't get this part right here. This is very important right here. So after the jury, I believe they gave them a break. The judge asked Ignafalo. Judge said, you said, why charge kidnapping? Right? You invited them to ask that. Yes, absolutely. Why charge kidnapping for something like that? Right? Ignafalo says, I think I'm allowed to be sarcastic. That's what I was doing there. Right? The judge and the Intercontinental Video, Ignafalo, that's a state level matter, not a federal one. Again, fair comment. Once again, like I told you, they took that video and tried to make that into a federal case, ladies and gentlemen. Right? They tried to make that video into a federal case, if you will. Right? Now, understand what that is. The statute of limitations involving that Intercontinental Video had expired. I don't even know why they tried so hard to even, they kept showing it and showing it and showing it. They wanted you to believe that one act of domestic violence is to say that a person is bad from that perspective. Yeah, absolutely. He's policing the defense. But guess what? That's why you have great lawyers. That's why you have great lawyers who understand and know the law. And nobody, let's be clear, nobody is above the law, even the judge. Even the judge. So, Well, like I said, once again, even when the judge, when he asked this question right here, the judge said, you said, why charge a kidnapping? You invited them to ask that, right? Absolutely. Yeah, you it's not that you invited them to ask that. You can be sarcastic and say, well, why would they charge kidnapping? You know what I mean? That they can ask themselves. Right. And you see, the judge then said, can the government propose an instruction right? Once again, I don't know, what kind of dog anybody has in this fight, but we're seeing it for ourselves. Here, you see it. Ignafalo says basically, I think I'm allowed to be sarcastic. That's what I was doing there. Right? I don't need nobody to tell me how to, do my closing arguments, right? And the judge and the Intercontinental video, Ignafalo. That's a state level matter, not a federal one. Again, fair comment. A great lawyer would know that. Like I said, when the tape came out, they got in contact with the Los Angeles district attorney, and the Los Angeles district attorney said there was nothing he can do. His hands were tied based on the fact that the statute of limitations for that particular video had run out. So what was it that they wanted them to do? Once again, and what was that, 2016? 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 8 years later. 8 years later. Happy Friday to everybody else too. Cross generation in the building. Gwen James, Winter, Chris Conlon, Mo Better, Chris Francis, Tanya V, JP Six Gunner, Yeah. I mean, like I said, well, it's funny that the prosecution would even mention that, right? Right? To the judge. But, like I said, Ignafalo is right. That's a state level matter. Under state law, right? They're using the Intercontinental video to try to prove RICO. Like I said, in the beginning, Ignafalo acknowledged, hey, the domestic violence, we own that. Right? That's true. If Mr. Combs was charged with domestic violence, he would plead guilty. They said that. So by them saying that and admitting to that, right? There you have it. Well, Anthony G, not everything that they're trying to allege would necessarily be a state case. But let's be clear, it's actually no case at all. But just that simple situation involving the Intercontinental video, because number one, this trial is being charged in New York, and that particular incident took place in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, not Las Vegas, in Los Angeles. So that's the funny part, or should I say the interesting part. I like how he said, we're not here to solve the world's problems. It's funny. Yeah, it's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, but like I said, I think Agnafalo doing a great job attacking each element of the government's case, one by one. It's very interesting. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everybody chiming in with us. And if you have not, like I said, if you have not, let's do this.
They said Tupac was untouchable, but behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not picked that book up, it's a great book, man. The author, Donald Richardson, no relation to me. He spent some 24 odd years inside in and out of like I said, New York state penitentiaries, and in and around 93, 94, when Tupac went to Rikers Island after his situation involving Ayanna Jackson. Donald Richardson, they call him Don. Like I said, well-known guy from Long Island, if you will, New York. Yeah, great book, great read. Like I said, once again, it kind of informed me of a few things that I wasn't aware of, involving a lot of situations involving Haitian Jack, Jimmy Henchman, talking about a lot of personal stuff, a lot of stuff that was going on in Rikers Island. And yeah, it's definitely dope. Like I said, it was information that I didn't know about. So that's what made me pick up the book. And so, like I say, I recommend it to you guys. Definitely check it out, on Amazon. And you can also see the interview over on the Art of Dialogue. I conducted an interview with Don on the Art of Dialogue, and you can check that out. A very extensive interview for about 2 hours and like 49 minutes. And the entire interview was posted over on the Art of Dialogue. So you can check that out too. Definitely. Yeah, winner. Cassie had help from her lawyers. She had help from very good lawyers, right? I mean, like I said, once again, what Diddy was trying to avoid when he settled that lawsuit is the embarrassment that he's facing right now. You know, and the embarrassment of some of the things that Cassie testified to in the case. We can see that now, like all the stuff that we found out so far. Like, it's like, oh wow, you know, if we thought Diddy was one thing, then he's proved to be another, if you will, from that perspective. So yeah. But like I said, you know, it is what it is. And like I said, a lot of you guys have been saying that the judge is biased, right? But I did notice one thing. Like, none of the stuff that the prosecution said yesterday, none of the inaccuracies that they mentioned, the judge didn't say anything about that. Like, and Diddy dragged her back to the hotel room. That simply didn't happen. It was simply watching the video. He didn't make any kind of a statement in regards to that. You know, and as you see right here, when the judge says, can the government propose an instruction as to what Ignáfalo said in his in relation to the Intercontinental incident and why charging kidnapping? You invited them to ask that, right? I think Ignáfalo said, well, yeah, I think I could be sarcastic. That's what I was doing there. The judge and the Intercontinental video. That's a state level matter, not a federal one. Again, it's so unfair because they actually want a federal jury to basically find that Sean P. Diddy Combs is guilty for what would be a state matter in federal court, right? Absolutely. Yeah, he didn't say one word, Winter. You right. Not one word for them saying what they were saying. And so, you know, I always question, and you know, who does the judge work for? The judge because a judge is judge and supposed to be independent and impartial, and judges are appointed and so on and so forth. And the people's taxpayer dollars is basically what pays the judge's salary, if you will. So, you know, I don't know. You know, like I said, I'm not going to say being biased. I guess he's doing the best job that he possibly can under the situation, if you will. Sean Diddy Combs has a right to an appeal in this process. And I'm sure if they do come back with some kind of conviction, if you will, Sean P. Diddy Combs will appeal this case. Like I said, but I love in the closing arguments how Ignáfalo is basically trying to touch on everything. Makes a thorough presentation. Okay. The judge is back now. They're back, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Here we go. And the judge, do you have prolonged language? USA Comey. Yes. Ms. Steiner has emailed the defense our proposed curative instructions. Judge, Mr. Ignáfalo, those three were gross. Listen, look, here the judge, look. Those three were grossly improper. Just to be blunt about it, the jury is not to speculate about the charge. Right? The judge, I will tell them it would be improper for you to consider that you are to disregard those comments. Combs, Alexandra Shapiro, we did not object yesterday since you called out Mr. Ergnofalo. I didn't call out anything. There was an objection. Wow. You know, listen to what he's saying. He being snarky about it too, right? See, and right, like I said yesterday, when they were coming up with these stories and saying certain things, it's like, what? Alexandria Shapiro said, we did not object yesterday since you called out Mr. Ergnofalo, the judge. I didn't call out anything. There was an objection. Right. Okay. It's cool. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Absolutely. Y'all see it right here. Wow. Amazing. Let's see if we get a little something. Fahim Muhammad, Combs' longtime head of security, is seated with Combs' family in court. Justin Combs came to the court and was told to leave because he was wearing a shirt that read "Free Sean Combs." He went back to change and came back in. Hey. You see it right here, ladies and gentlemen. When you say wrong closing lawyer, I saw this coming. What do you mean, Andre Styles? It's not enough aggressive. And I don't think you need to be aggressive. You're talking to the jury, right? And like I said, sometimes it works in the favor of, like if the judge, they come back, well, you're the disregards those comments. And in telling somebody to disregard something, right, you actually put more attention on it. Why would he say disregard that? And now the jury feels like you're telling them what to do, and nobody likes to be told what to do. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So that can have an adverse effect too. Believe me, man, they got people that study situations like this, right? Like I say, nobody likes to be told what to do from that perspective involving Here we go again. Combs Shapiro. Miss Slavic told the jury there might have been guns at Freakoff's. There's no evidence of that. It was outrageous. No one is doing anything improper. That's right, Shapiro. Stand tall. Judge, you made no record yesterday. Here, I'm not giving the multiple instructions, just one. Right? Hold on. But like I said, if the judge, if you're listening, right? And they're pointing out, like I said, once again, this is very important. Y'all not really paying attention, because if, what they say, well, and that's why they do the objections, and they object to certain things on record, so that if there's an appeal, the defense can say, hey, we objected to that, right? But listen, listen, check this out. Alexandra Shapiro said, Miss Slavic told the jury there might have been guns at freak-offs. There's no evidence of that. It was outrageous. No one is doing anything improper. Judge. And he said, you made no record yesterday, right? Here, I'm not giving the multiple instructions, just one. Shapiro, we asked you to do that at the end, not now. It will suggest Mr. Gnafalo did something improper. AUSA Comey. It needed now, Judge. Let's get our jury. Sean Combs leans over and whispers to Gnafalo, who takes a note. All rise. Exactly. Right. Well, like I said, this is ripe for an appeal, ladies and gentlemen. We can see what's going on here. This is why the justice system that's people look at the justice system as being broken. Yeah. Sad. It's sad. It's like an NBA game. Right? Sometimes you feel like you got to play against the other team and the referees. Unfortunately. And the judge went on and did it. The judge, before the break, it was suggested that you should consider why this was charged. That is not proper. I will be instructing you on the law, Mr. Gnafalo. Combs, Gnafalo. Now we'll talk about Mia. She loved working for Mr. Combs. This was not forced labor. Gnafalo, remember the birthday video we showed you? And she was bubbly, popping. That's funny. She was bubbly, popping, right? That's the real her. You are free to conclude she put on an act here. See, what you got to understand is what the judge just did. He made Gnafalo really go into his bag of tricks and being able to say certain things. So, right. But check it out. So watch. That's the real her, right? You are free to conclude she put on an act here. If Mr. Combs felt it was improper, he would not threaten to tell Cassie. It was consensual. Right? Think about it. That's what I said too, right? So if he thought she testified to that, the young lady who was testifying under the name Mia, right? Right, everybody say Anthony X in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Killer Rob, Truth Over Emotion, Peace 4100, Mo Better. Welcome back, guys. Hey, look, check this out. And so, remember, Mia testified that Diddy told her that he was going to tell Cassie, right? You see what Ignacio just said. Remember the birthday video we showed you? She was bubbly, popping. That's the real her. You are free to conclude that she put on an act here. If Mr. Combs felt it was improper, he would not threaten to tell Cassie. It was consensual. Right. Why would he threaten to come and tell Cassie? And that's supposed to be Cassie's friend. Remember. Ignacio, when Mia says it was not consensual, she's not telling the truth. There was no unwanted sexual contact. Mia's feelings were not platonic. Mr. Steele questioned her about these wonderful pictures and slogans. Right? He says, effusive, not just a job. I don't know what he meant by that. Was that, what's the name? Let me see over here. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I said, well, let's be clear. How it works is, if the defense would have made, just an all fair, right? If the defense would have made an objection yesterday, we don't know how the judge would have reacted to it, right? But like I said, the fact that they didn't make an objection, and that's why he's saying it was on record. He said, I did not, what's the name, anybody. And so the prosecution evidently made an objection from that perspective. And so, yeah, that's what happened. But, like Alexandria Shapiro said, that could have happened and waited until he gave the jury instructions and said that, and not say it now as to make it appear that Mr. Ignacio did something improper. So, Andre Styles. Yeah, I mean, you have your opinion, Andre. We're not gonna try to get in the way of that. Combs Ignacio. This is a demonstrative. You can't take it into the jury room. Listen, see, y'all don't understand. I just told you what Ignacio's gonna do now. He's forced to put on the gas pedal. He was trying to be subtle. The judge was like, "Oh, you can't do," but not. The judge really didn't say that. Like I said, there was an objection drawn, right? So from the objection being drawn, that's what that was. So this is a demonstrative, and you can't take it into the jury room. Consider the scrapbook she made. I'm going to read it to you. Happy 45th birthday, Puff. This is from 1991 to 1999. I hope it stirs up nostalgic feelings. How great you've become. Right? Once again, reminding the jury of what this young lady, creating a scrapbook for Diddy, alleging all of these things, and not really saying anything about this, like I told you guys, until she obtained a lawyer, a civil lawyer, and basically filed a lawsuit against Diddy. I told you yesterday that they had some overtime issues. She wasn't being paid overtime. She found an employment lawyer. Diddy settled for the overtime and money that she said was owed to her. I believe he paid her like $400,000. The lawyer got $200,000, and she got $200,000. So, and don't forget, let's not take Trump out of the equation. Donald Trump, seeing this, you know, how his thing with judges and all of that, and being like, you know, and they're posing, you know, different things. Like I said, know that he's probably watching this too. And King Willie, Wu Wang, Tisa tells all lies. Yeah. Oh man, you can best believe that Tisa took that judge saying that it was improper. You can take she took that to the bank. Was like, Diddy's team is not being, and she just goes in and goes in. Combs, Ignofalo, she loved you. You can't fake that. That's real. Don't lose sight of that, right? This is what Mia was saying to Diddy, and basically saying, she said that she's like, I love you. You can't fake that. That's real. Don't lose sight of that. It's not just business. He gives people a home. Look at this picture. Think of a word that comes to mind. Joy. There's KK, D-Rock, Fahim. A photo of staff. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, waiting for them to come back up and update the latest testimony, if you will. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the share button. Very much appreciated. Hit the thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. We appreciate it very much. we're trying to bring it back to the like sometimes the Twitter feed doesn't feed the Twitter. So we see that Twitter still kind of got bugs, man, on the refreshing process. But we're gonna bring it back. So just trying to make sure everything hits right. And when it does that basically for everybody. You know what I mean? From that perspective. So go here. City. Yeah, so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a little slight pause on the presentation of the information. But we're gonna get it back. We got two sources. Usually when one ain't kicking, the other one is. So yeah, this is one of the things that happens with X sometimes, man. Like on the refreshing screen. I don't know if it's processing too much information or how it goes down, but yeah. The lunch break usually with Nancy Nicole, lunch break's usually about 30 minutes. And 30 minutes, like 9:30, should I say 12:30 East Coast time. Nah, like I said once again, yeah, they playing games, man. It is what it is, you know. You take it how it come, man. Always stay on top of your game so that you ain't got to worry about them playing games. That's my theory. Yep. Yeah, they probably, yeah. Yeah, he started. Ignafalo started. I thought it was funny how they reported that Justin Combs came into the courtroom and was told to leave because he was wearing a shirt that said "Free Sean Combs." What, he supposed to come into a courtroom and say with a shirt that say "Lock my daddy up"? Yeah. You say, Anonymous 3 say you at work, so you check it back. And every now and then. Yeah, we appreciate that. Appreciate that. Absolutely. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We back up. We back up. We back up. That's right. Man, it's so basically the jury's back in. So we backed up a little bit, but more importantly, we'll get a more accurate reading as to what it is. So basically we already covered the fact that so no, but we didn't. This is a little bit more detailed, if you will. Shapiro basically said, yeah, doing it now would suggest that Mr. Ignafalo did something wrong. The prosecution, AUSA Comey, it's needed now, Your Honor. Let's get our jury. Sean Combs leans over and whispers to Mr. Ignafalo, who jots something down. Jury comes in, judge, and like I said, and then he goes back over that before we break thing about that again. So let's see. Yeah, this is like I said, Jules Mancey's a little bit more accurate, if you will. I mean, sometimes a little bit more slower, but definitely a little bit more accurate. And that's why I think that her feed comes in a little bit slower, because the attempt to be accurate about every word that's actually being said. So we're gonna stick with Jules Manzi for a minute, because Inner City Press is feed is not really coming through like it was before. So here's where we at right here. It's all good. Scorpio 07, always a pleasure. Anthony G, G Mac, Kathy Rose, Born King. And here we go right now. We moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Gnafalo. And now let's talk about Mia. She loved working. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, this is going to be a little bit more accurate right here, right? Gnafalo. Now let's talk about Mia. She loved working for Mr. Combs. This wasn't forced labor. Remember the birthday video we showed you. She was bubbly, popping. That was the real her. You are free to conclude what you saw here in court was just an act. So they're basically saying that Mia came to court and she was acting. She wasn't really being who she was supposed to be or claimed to be. She was acting. Yeah, the Inner City Press thing is acting crazy. The Mia situation is just an act. I think Inner City Press is back up. Oh. So something's going on with Twitter. Okay, this might be the refreshing that Twitter needed. It's Twitter, dude. It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. It's Twitter. Twitter not coming through like it's supposed to. Yeah. We not in charge of it though. Yep. Let's see what's trending about Richard Branson. Yeah. Are they trying to block us out, ladies and gentlemen? What's going on? I could go to every other. Look, but watch this. I could go to other pages. Let's see what's trending. The Democratic Party. All of the other feeds you can go to. Right? Amazing. Wow. Is there a grand conspiracy? Is there a grand conspiracy? Wow. Huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we back up. Let's go. We haven't lost it. Agnafalo, but praise. She wanted the world to see her admiration. You are free to conclude that what you saw here in court was just an act. If Mr. Combs believed anything was improper, he wouldn't have threatened to tell Cassie, of course not. It was all consensual. Okay, we back up with Inner City Press. But not pumping out no info. Okay, we over here. When Mia says it wasn't, she's not telling the truth. Yeah, here it is right here, True Manga. Let's refresh this. That's why I say it's so important, right? To have information, like I said once again, but the hiding of information, you know, if you don't know what's going on. Can you imagine if we weren't privy to be able to get what we've been getting from Inner City Press, what people's thoughts would be? You know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to have time to read the court transcript. You know? That's just not how it works. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We back up. We back up, ladies and gentlemen. We back up. 45 minutes. Let's see. 3 hours. It's funny. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, as of 16 seconds ago, this is where we left off the last time. What I'm about to show you is demonstrative, meaning you won't be taking it with you into the jury room, but I want you to consider what it represents. This scrapbook, this is something Mia made, and I'm going to read from it. Nah, Inner City not back up yet. You see it right here, live and in person. But here we go right here. This is up right here. This right here is up. You say you can't fake that. Don't lose sight of what this case is really about. It wasn't just a job. It wasn't just business. Sean Combs gave people more than paychecks. He gave them a home, a place to belong. Agnafalo. Look at this photo. Staff, friends, all smiling. KK, D-Rock, Fahim. What's the first word that comes to mind? Joy, family, belonging. Sean created something remarkable. He moved people deeply in their hearts and in their souls. That's not racketeering. So we back up over here. Inner City Press, that's why I say, you know, you have to have two sets of information, if you will. Because, yeah, and I don't even think it's Inner City Press. I think it's more of a, Twitter than it's Inner City Press, because it happens to both sites, if you will. No, Rhonda, but she's accurate though. This is like the accurate. It's not that she's behind. She's just taking her time. More importantly, you know, sometimes it's not about being first. Sometimes it's about being accurate. If Inner City goes back up, then we'll definitely, you know, let's check on it again. But yeah, so. Right. Nah. Okay, right. He said, now let's talk about drugs. The government says personal use. The government says personal use is just a distraction. This is very interesting from yesterday, because when the government began to talk about that, I said the personal use is just a distraction, right? Take the first part. Agnafalo, KK, so-called racketeering co-conspirator. I wrote back, oh my God, what the F, Mia? That's not funny. Answer your phone, or I'm calling your parents. That doesn't sound like someone trying to escape forced labor. That sounds like someone heartbroken to leave. Right? Yeah. So you can see how they tried to give that example about what that was. It simply wasn't true. Said Brendan Paul, the man caught with cocaine, testified clearly. These were for his personal use. He even said, I forgot to take the cocaine out of my bag. Right, but all of a sudden they tried to make it for Diddy, if you will. This is interesting, man. And then he said, listen, Agnafalo. And then he said, I've got the best lawyer in the world, and my charges were dismissed. That's his story, not Sean Combs. Was Sean Combs a drug dealer? No. Was he selling drugs? Absolutely not. That's what I was trying to say in regards to what that was and what they were trying to depict at that particular time. Agnafalo. Cassie claims he was a drug addict. Okay, Let's accept that for a moment. How is he supposed to get those drugs? Grow on his Xanax? Yes. They found drugs in his home, but using drugs and distributing drugs through an enterprise are two different things. Was basically what I was trying to say. You know what I mean? Like, they trying to make it into this big grand conspiracy about what this is supposed to be, and it simply is not that. Andre Styles is still in here trying to push his narrative. We appreciate that, Andre. We back up, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, having two sources is better, because with inner city press, like I said, they say it's up, but I'd rather have accuracy than, it being first. Like I said, first is cool, but accuracy is better. Agnafalo. And that was just here, and that was just it said, and that's what you're here to decide. Did Mia go on to work for Madonna? Yes. That's what assistants do. They support people in high power creative industries. You think Beyonce walks into CVS to buy Astroglide for herself? Of course not. Agnafalo. Assistants handle those things. That doesn't make it racketeering. There is no credible evidence of intent to distribute. Take David James, for example. He's in San Tropez, asked to get an 8-ball of cocaine. So I asked him on the stand, did Sean Combs have anything to do with that? His answer is no. I kept it from him. Think about it. If he was trying to keep it from Sean, what does that tell you? These are artists, people in entertainment, living fast, living loud. Agnafalo. That's not racketeering. There's been a lot of dirty talk in this courtroom. I know you've heard it. You remember it, and now they want you to turn into a federal a sex trafficking charge. Let's talk about that. Agnafalo, let's talk about what really happened between Sean Combs and Cassandra Ventura. I'm not going to pull you back through every single text message. You've seen them. You read the screenshots. What I'll do is instead is tell you the story, their story. Well, we definitely not frozen. We in the building, giving you the feed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have to ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have to discontinue right now, unfortunately. Try to refresh this last time. They're about to go to lunch. I appreciate the support. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang. I appreciate the support.
Black Jack. It's like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.